Well, good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to another live this morning. Question and Answer Friday. Hope you're having a great start to your day. We got some good questions we're going to talk about this morning and answer them as best we can. Georgie, how are you? And Zian and Jean Pronovo, good morning. From Blainville, Francis Marie. John from Elgin, Illinois. Brahim, good morning. Portland, Oregon. Nick from our staff. Sandra from Aurelia. Andrea, Niagara Falls. Yvonne, good morning. Wendy, Marco. Hope you guys are having a good start to your day. Sue, how is you? Lori from Niagara Falls. Georgie's from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Lise, good morning. Oh, our buddy, Dr. Bennett is on with us this morning. Newfoundland, good morning. Troy, how are you? Nellie. Michelle, good morning. Tennessee, right, Michelle? Elma. Vanda. Debbie. And is from northern New Brunswick. Hazel. Renee, good morning. How is you? Lise, good morning. Lorraine. Laura, new lister. And yes, Michelle, Tennessee. We appreciate you. Doreen. Deanna, good morning. Sorry, how are you? Nice to have you on with us this morning. Jocelyn. And Louise. Good morning, guys. Marianne. Oh, I could sing this morning. Leanne, how are you? Another Zian from Ottawa. Elaine. Good morning. Rhonda. Oh, that's a song, isn't it? Alma. Maggie. Good morning, Maggie. How are you doing? Serpa, good morning. Dowling. Josephine, Chantal, Ottawa, Fran from Valcarin, Hazel, St. John's, Newfoundland, beautiful, Kelly, Grace, good morning, Leanne from Kitchener, and Kathy, another Sandra, and another Diane, Thunder Bay, Anna, a couple more, and Cheryl, Marcin, bonjour, Rosa, Jocelyn, good morning, and Ashley, Sharon, Jean, and Dawn. Guys, I wish I could say hello to everyone. Elaine, how are you? Star, how are you? Richmond Hill, Ontario. Patricia, Rita, and Brenda from Campbell River, British Columbia, and Georgette from Nouveau-Brunswick, Mabel, Vicky, Lorraine, good morning, Jean, good morning. Okay, let's get going. Sylvia, how is you? Okay, first question, Sandy. Okay, Sandy. Is eating nuts bad for our microbiome? No, nuts wouldn't be bad for your microbiome per se. I'm not too big on eating nuts, especially if you've got any kind of digestive issue. IBS, diverticulosis, whatever. Not many nuts, okay? Like, look, there's some good omega-3 in nuts, like in walnuts. And be careful with almonds. They have a lot of oxalates. We've talked about oxalates. And one of the reasons we're seeing so many kidney stones, 75% of all kidney stones are oxalates. They come from the plant kingdom. And almonds are one of the top ones. So here's my sort of overarching principle when it comes to nuts. Be careful, because when a squirrel or a chipmunk wants to fatten up, guess what they store for their winter? Nuts. And you're not a chipmunk. You're not a squirrel. And I don't want you to fatten up. So be careful with that, because people think that's sort of free food. And look, it's not bad stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying a lot of people, when they want to lose weight, that's one of the worst things you can eat. You'll fatten up. You'll fatten up. And so, when we used to have our weight loss clinic, you weren't eating nuts. Okay? You weren't eating nuts. We'd keep you off of that. And it's not calories. It's it's fattening. But it's not a bad food, okay? So don't get me wrong. You want to limit the amount. If you have digestive issues, I'd stay away from them. Okay? Fiber's overrated. Okay. Rhonda. But it's, by the way, Sandy, it isn't bad for your microbiome. It's not going to, it's not going to change your bacteria. It's not going to kill your good guys and feed the bad guys. Won't do that. Okay? Now, Rhonda is asking, how does Dr. Martin feel about distilled water? Well, I don't particularly like it. Distilled water is when they steam water and, it comes back, no more minerals. Yeah, it takes away impurities, all right. The problem is that you demineralize it. And if you're asking me what is the best water is mineral water. It's water with salts, natural minerals. Okay, that's what the best water is. Now, water's good, but I'm not big on distilled water. Okay, not going to kill you if you drink it. You better put electrolytes into your body, add some Himalayan salt or whatever but I'm not big on it. You're better off to drink spring water than distilled water, okay? Rhonda's also asking, can I discuss DHEA? Well, look, now you're going back 35 years. I tried, patients used to tell me, because it's interesting that in the natural product industry, sometimes things, they, for whatever reason, they get popular. Okay? For, for a few months, and, DHEA, when I'll tell you when it really started, is when there was chronic fatigue syndrome, and people started to figure out that was adrenal gland exhaustion. And so in the thinking of doctors and practitioners, they were thinking, well, I ought to give them DHEA. And you know what? I found, this is me, okay? I never really saw in my practice, not that I ever gave it, but I never saw people coming in and going, this changed my life, DHEA. No. I just didn't, there was no clinical experience saying this really made a difference. I know some people take it as a supplement. I'm not big on it. Okay, that's just me. I'm not big on it. And clinically, I never saw lots. I like Navitol much better for the adrenal glands. That's what I found to be really helpful for adrenal exhaustion, probably more than anything else. And, lowering cortisol helps a lot too. Okay, so thanks, Rhonda, for the question. Eleanor is asking, what do I think of Zevia? It's a stevia-flavored soda drinks. Well, look, on the reset, I don't want you drinking that stuff, okay? I'll tell you why. Here's me when it comes to drinking. Do I want you to drink? Yep. Water, 2 liters a day, and coffee. And for my teetotalers, you can have some tea, but it's not coffee. It doesn't have 1,000 phytonutrients like coffee has. Okay? It just doesn't. So I try and get people, look, to form habits. Now, if you got kids or whatever and they gotta insist on having a soda, well, it'd be a lot better to have Zevia. You know what? I'm not that big on stevia. Personally, I'll tell you why. I don't like the taste. For me. But I'm not big on drinking anything other than water and coffee. That's the recipe for the reset. Water and coffee. Okay? So, but if you want to drink this and you're not on the reset and you find it good tasting, you know what? I don't have any real trouble with it. Okay? So thanks for the question, Elner. Darlene, if Greek yogurt does not have sugar in it, why can't I have it on the reset? Well, you can. You want to stretch the reset, you can have Greek plain yogurt. But if you read the label, it's dairy, so I got no problem with that. But naturally, it has 6 sugars in it, in a serving, pretty well, if I'm not mistaken. Again, the reason I was sort of down on yogurt is that people don't read labels. And they get these fruit yogurts, and it was the #1 choice for women. I don't know if it is anymore, but let's say 10 years ago, when they did a survey of North American women, they were eating yogurt. But what they didn't realize is, most yogurts are full of sugar. And this is the reason, more than anything else, Darlene, that I was against yogurts. If you make your own yogurt or you get a Greek plain yogurt, I can live with that. Not going to hurt you. Has a little bit more sugar in it naturally. They don't add it. Make sure. Read the labels. Make sure. But I'm not against yogurt, but I wanted to give you a little reason that I wanted people sort of just to be careful because they don't read labels usually. They don't read labels. Okay? Bonnie, what brand or type of coconut oil is best to consume? Well, I'm not going to give you a brand per se. I'm not going to advertise for companies. There's a lot of good coconut oils out there. One of them, make sure it's cold pressed coconut. Okay? Cold pressed. And because coconut, what happens in the food industry, they denature lots of things. They're into denaturing stuff. And they think they're smarter than God, okay? So be very careful. Get a good coconut oil. I got no problem with coconut oil, by the way. I don't. Because fat don't make you fat. And coconut oil is a medium chain fatty acid. Now, coconut oil is not DHA. Remember, there's no DHA oil in the plant kingdom. But coconut oil is good. I got no problem with it. Okay? I like it on the skin even. Okay? It's a natural sunscreen. in a sense, okay? Not that it blocks your UVB, but UVA, I mean, but it is more of a natural moisturizer on the skin, okay? Thanks for that question. Oh, Bonnie's asking about black seed oil. Well, again, I look, black seed oil, anytime you heard talk about it, was always really good for your lungs and asthma. You know what? I never really, I can't say that I ever saw that being all that good for that. I'm not against it. It's got some real good properties to it. I'm a big guy on oil of oregano. See, I compare that to oil of oregano. And in my opinion and my clinical experience, nothing touches oil of oregano. So, do I dislike black seed oil? Nope, I don't. If you like it, go for it. I just found for me, and clinically, oil of oregano is the king of the castle when it comes to oils. It's nature's greatest antibiotic, anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antifungal, and usually what's in the lungs is a fungus. Moisture. Remember, fungus or yeast is a cousin of mold. Remember that. That's what happens usually in chronic lung conditions. That's why I like oil of oregano. Okay? Coleman, what causes ear wax buildup? I just think some people have more of it than others. I see earwax, when you get a real buildup, more being an underlying, in the sinuses and the ear canals, I see, in my experience, more of a fungus. And that's how wax can build up. Okay? Usually there's an underlying yeast underneath that. Yeast is very, very, what word would I use? It's very prevalent and people don't realize it. It loves the bladder, ladies. It loves bladder. It loves the ears. It loves the sinuses. It loves the lungs. And a lot of people have a lot of trouble and they don't realize that. And a lot of that, by the way, can come from leaky gut. It can start in the gut. And when you have an overgrowth of candida, yeast, fungus, it can insidiously get into your bloodstream and go where there is moisture. That's where they usually like to go. It can go right up to your brain through the bloodstream and can travel along the 10th cranial nerve, your vagus nerve. And so I'm a big guy on that. I'm a big guy on getting rid of candida and yeast and get rid of it. Okay, Coleman, that's usually what I find. Okay, that's an underlying condition. Not always, but mostly. Betty Lynn. Well, she was questioning, my question to me, okay. I was chatting with a young man about rice and how it is a carb, which would turn into sugar in the body. He continued to tell me that we all need sugar, which is, of course, I know better. Yep, you do, Betty Lynn. But he said in Asia, Asians have lived on rice for centuries. Yes and no, they haven't. People don't realize that. Do you know that Japanese and Chinese live on much more protein than we eat? They love fish. They love protein. Yeah, they eat rice. Okay? They eat rice. But they eat a lot more protein than we do. And they don't eat the junk that we do. Until they come to North America. And they start eating our junk. And processed foods. So, look, I'm not against rice. If you're in the 7% now, it's down from 12% that have metabolic syndrome. Okay? If you're in that 7% and you're on the narrow road of health, there's very few on it, by the way. Go read Matthew chapter 7, okay? Very few people are on that road, and it's a narrow road, and that's the narrow road of health. And if you're on the narrow road of health and you want to have some rice, well, go for it. Don't live on it. And the Asians, you think they just live on rice. No, they don't. They don't. It's sort of we think they do, but they don't. They eat a lot more protein than we do. See, North Americans have gotten stupid. Okay, should I have used that word? No, we got stupid because we thought protein damages your kidneys. Somebody's asking that question again this morning. And protein, you got to be careful, and you got to be careful with fat, and fat makes you fat, and protein and fat in the animal kingdom gives you cholesterol, true. But it don't give you bad cholesterol because there's no such thing. And I tell people, if you are in that 93%, you and rice don't get along. You don't get along. So fix the problem, and then you can have a little bit of rice. But your friend, okay, you're a young man, your friend is mistaken about carbs. You don't need carbs. They are part of, okay, you got 3 macros. Let me just go over that again. You got protein, you got fat, and you got carbs. Okay, those are the 3 what we call macros. If your body needs glucose, it will take a piece of steak because it's protein and especially the fat in it and turn it to glucose. Did you know that? Fat is a better fuel. Protein's a better fuel. Sugar is not. And the key to all of it is how fast it turns into sugar. It's the speed of things. Because rice turns to sugar rapidly. If you limit it, it's not the end of the world. But if you're metabolically unwell, you need to be very, very careful. Okay? So when I do these programs, people think I'm crazy. Because what? No carbs? Well, for 30 days, no carbs. And someone said on the private Facebook group, I read it this morning, this is tough. Yeah, it's tough because you're used to being a carbohydrate. A carboholic. A carbohydrate. You're not a carbohydrate. You're a carboholic. No, but seriously, we're so used to being told that we need carbs. We can't live without them. You're going to die without them. Nah, you're going to die with them. You want to end your life quicker? Then eat carbohydrates. And again, I'm not saying they're bad. All of them they're not bad. But they're not best. The best is protein and fat. And in nature, God did this. He put protein and fat together, not carbs and fat. You don't see carbs and fat in nature. You see protein and fat. When you eat an egg, what do you got? Protein, fat, and almost 0 carbs. You eat a piece of steak. Protein, fat, unless they took the fat away. Don't listen to human beings. Eat it the way nature. What is cheese? Fat and protein. No, not carbs. You see, that's the way you're supposed to eat. Okay? And then you can have some complex carbs, like fruits and vegetables. Complex. But not the first 30 days you're not, because I want to get rid of your insulin resistance and yada, yada, yada. That's what I do. And that's what you will do when you follow that. But your young friend, I understand it, but they're coming from a position of ignorance. What did I say yesterday? The food industry, okay? The food industry doesn't care about your health. And the big pharmaceutical industry don't know anything about food. And that ignorance has been passed on for generations now. Doctors know nothing about nutrition, or very little. As a matter of fact, what they learn in nutrition, and they're lucky to take an hour of it in medical school, and 10 years of, it takes a long time to become a doctor, right? It does. But nutrition, imagine, is not part of their curriculum. Imagine going to a doctor and they think you need carbs to survive because they didn't take Nutrition 101. I should be teaching them. They don't know anything about food. I mean, you might as well go to your plumber and get advice. I know some plumbers that know more about nutrition than their doctors do. And I'm serious about that. Because they're fixated on cholesterol. Bad. It doesn't matter what you show them. Nah. Because two overarching principles that we learned yesterday. Big food doesn't care about your health. They don't want you. They don't care if you're healthy or not. They just want you to eat their food. Their garbage, because that's what it is mostly. And secondly, Big Pharma, which controls medicine. They don't teach anything about nutrition. They don't know anything about food. And they send it off to nutritionists or dietitians. My word. Don't eat red meat. Red meat's bad. Red meat will kill you. Red meat is cancer. Red meat is heart disease. It's craziness, my friend. Craziness. Okay. Did I go ranting there? I didn't mean to. Okay. John's asking about ataxia. Ataxia is a loss, usually, of muscle, balance, speech even, in severe cases. You got to figure out why. There's usually a neurological problem, and usually it's in the cerebellum part of the brain, and the brain stem. So, let me just make sure they're asking here. John is asking, what would I suggest? Well, listen, you gotta, usually gut brain, very connected. I'd be a big guy on regenerating the microbiome. I'd be a big guy on high DHEA. Very, very important. I'd be very big on getting off sugars, and make sure they're for ataxia. A couple of things these are things over the years that I noticed. Low B12 and low vitamin D. Low B12, neurological. Vitamin D, neurological and anti-inflammatory. So check those out too, John, okay? Jean, when taking 2 DHA a day, okay, smart girl, if it's a guy or a girl, sorry, when would you expect to notice change in memory? Well, that depends, okay? Finding your words, grasping concepts. Listen, Gene, okay? First of all, I would up that. If you're having trouble with the memory and just being as sharp as you can, I'm a big, big guy on DHEA. Why? Your brain's made up of it. So you're on the right track, Gene. I would double your dose. I really would if you're not getting the results that you want. I find, okay, this is me personally and thousands of other patients over the years. I talked to you about DHA the other day. If someone calls you fathead, take it as a compliment. If someone calls you fat eyes, because that's what your eyeballs are made of. DHA, fat. I'm so big on DHA, guys. You know that. I talk about it. I'm very specific. I like EPA. I like ALA. Okay, in dairy. I do. But it ain't DHA. DHA is what your brain is made up of. DHA is what your eyes are made up of. And you need to replace that. As we get older, guess what happens to our brain? It shrinks, shrinks, shrinks. Yeah. And you want to be fat. Head. So replace it. Gene, I personally would tell you to up your dose. Okay, that's what I'm personally telling you. Okay, without knowing you. Okay, John. Can I talk about maltodextrin? Heard it was the worst hidden sweetener. No, it's not. No, it's not. Now, maltodextrin is a simple, breaks down rapidly glucose. The food industry sometimes uses it. You know me and anything, John, fast that breaks down maltodextrin. But I'm not too concerned unless you're taking lots of it. Because, you know, the food industry, they hide everything. But I'm telling you, John, it is not Frankenstein like high fructose corn syrup. You know what the worst sweetener is? High fructose corn syrup. It's worse than aspartame. It's worse. And aspartame is bad. But high fructose corn syrup, my friend, is the Frankenstein. It's the Antichrist of sugars. Believe you me when I tell you that. Because I've been testing. I test liver enzymes. I tested liver enzymes. We see so much fatty liver today. And it's unreal how high fructose corn syrup, it damages the liver. And now we know it damages the pancreas, the beta cells of the pancreas. New research coming out. So maltodextrin, yeah, I'm not telling you it's great. But what I'm saying, John, it's not high fructose corn syrup, which is every sugar you can name because they couch it. They hide it. The food industry got away with that. We made the food industry label things, okay? So when you read a label today, you have to thank people that held the food industry's feet to the fire because they didn't want to do it. I was screaming because they didn't want to tell you anything. They said, well, we have formulas. We don't want anybody copying our formulas. But we got Health Canada. We're talking quite a few years ago. To make them tell you what was in it. But what they got away with, because Health Canada only pushed them so far, and the United States is the same, the FDA. They didn't make them tell you what exactly their sugars are. They could use 9. I put that in the I put it in the reset, the book. I think they got 99 different names for it. High fructose corn syrup. It's bad. Okay? Thanks, John. We appreciate the question. Doreen's asking the question. I think I answered it to some extent. When you have kidney disease, is there a limit to how much protein you can eat? Nope. Nope. Because you don't get kidney disease from protein. Again, I bring you back to education. Doctors, God love them, and kidney specialists, nephrologists, they're smart people, very intelligent. But when you don't know anything about nutrition, you grasp at straws. You say things that are not true, like steak is not good for your kidneys. Too much of it's not good for your kidneys. Be careful with protein. And their deduction came from this. Like they thought 2 + 2 = 4. Here's how they did it. If your kidneys are stressed, they're going to release protein. Okay? In the urine. Even in the bloodstream. They can measure it. If the kidneys are releasing protein, it must be because you're eating too much protein. Protein eating equals protein in the urine. Kidney stress. That was their deduction. It's simple, but it wasn't true. What stresses your kidneys? What stresses your kidneys and causes your kidneys to secrete protein is sugar. 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 Yep. 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 Sugar is destructive. Ask a diabetic. They'll tell you. If I could have invested, 20 years ago, if I was a prophet or the son of one, I might have invested in dialysis because it's coming to a theater near you. There's so much dialysis going on. Why? Kidneys are shutting down. Not because of steak. Not because of steak. We're eating less steak. We're eating about 40% less meat. Why? Because the food industry don't care about your health, and the pharmaceutical industry and medicine doesn't know anything about food. And you get lies. The lies of protein are the same lies of cholesterol. Don't eat cholesterol because cholesterol is going to give you heart disease. Nah, not ever. Not once. You can eat steak all day long. It would actually help your kidneys. You could eat 50 eggs a day. It would help your kidneys. But remember, kidney function, okay? Lay off the sugars, drink a lot of water, and don't eat too many oxalates that come from nuts, almonds, and green drinks. Oh, when I see people, look at this, I'm detoxing with a green drink. Ooh. You're damaging your kidneys with all those oxalates. You're going to form stones in there. Drink water, 2 liters of water a day. Okay, I'm having fun. How about you? Anna, what can I do for silent reflux? before starting medication? Well, listen, change your diet. One of the reasons you get reflux, whether it's silent or whether it's not so silent, you get acid reflux when you're a carbaholic, sugarholic, because what happens? It's like your gallbladder, guys, okay? Use it or lose it, gallbladder. You don't eat fat? Well, then you don't use your gallbladder. If you don't use it, you start forming stones. I know that goes against, or you get a gallbladder problems because you're eating too much fat. No, it's the opposite. You're not eating enough fat. Your gallbladder doesn't make bile. It stores bile. And when you store it, because you're not using it, God gave you a gallbladder. Use it. And you use it when you eat animal fat. Eggs, meat, and cheese. And when the whole world went crazy for salad and maybe a little bit of chicken, skinless, ooh, we had trouble with gallbladder. Now, what am I saying that for when you asked about stomach acidity, like the silent reflux? Because the same thing in your stomach, guys. You know why you have high acidity in your stomach? You can swallow a penny and it'll dissolve if you have good stomach acid. It's a furnace, man. But because people are carbaholics, that high acidity was made for what? Steak. Hamburger. To break down protein. That's why you need high acidity in your stomach. But if you don't use it, you lose it. And then you get people, they got acid reflux, and they're on Tums and Tagamet and Nexium, the purple pill, the green pill, the blue pill, this pill, that pill, to lower, oh, I got acid. Yeah, you got acid because you didn't use your stomach properly. You weren't eating enough steak and protein. And you know what happened? Your acidity went up, not down. And guess what? Now your body says, I better secrete more acid. So your proton pumps, you got pumps inside your stomach. And when they sense that pH is not low enough, it will release acid. And guess what? It releases so much of it, it goes up your esophagus. And you got reflux. That's why the reset. I mean, thousands of people, they couldn't believe it. Gee, my stomach got better. My stomach got better. My acid reflux got better. Use it or lose it. I know. Controversial. Okay, last one. Ornella. Well, thank you, Ornella. And let's finish this up here. Last one is drinking alkaline spring water. Yep. I like it. I like spring water. Spring water is alkaline. I love spring water. Can I tell you something? This is just me, okay? And I tell people, I give advice, so here's my advice. Don't spend a lot of money. Okay? And I on water. I never thought I'm 70 years old. So when I was a kid, our sports drink, we drank out of a hose. Okay? You know? We didn't, in those days, you didn't even think about it. I was thirsty. Hey, there's a hose. Drink out of it. Okay? But spring water is the best water because it's mineralized. It's got natural, sodium in there and calcium and magnesium. It's got trace amounts of it. They're trace minerals, but they're good for you. And you can add a little bit of Himalayan salt. Put some salt in the water. Add a little pinch. It's good for you. Yes, Ornella, I like alkaline water. I do. Don't spend a lot of money on it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay, guys. I don't know how much fun you had. I had a ball today. Okay? I had a ball today. Thanks to you guys. What would we do without you? Not much. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you more than you know it. We love you dearly. Talk to you soon.